Hello, YouTube. Time for some Snap Talk. So today's topic comes from SmithFan94, who writes, Topic, the limits in Snap Maps. Like, of course, there are so many things you can do, especially with stuff like the command chains, but there are still things like cutscenes that you have to look up and do manually, some of which don't even have tutorials for them. Well, SmithFan94, thank you for writing. Unfortunately, it is not hard for people to figure out how to use the cameras in cutscenes. It's tragically easy, uh, as one perfect pastel has made very clear with his excessive use of cutscenes. But I get what you're saying. So if I understand you correctly, you're asking about the limits in Snapmap. So, all right. So that's topic of the day, episode 2, the limits of Snapmap. I think we've all of us who are familiar with Snapmap have encountered all sorts of limits in one way or another, whether it's bugs in the game or just not having the tools to do what you need to do. In my opinion, for the most part, as long as you're staying within the narrow scope of what Snapmap was designed for, which is just to be a level editor for Doom. It's basically just, if all you're looking to do is shoot some demons, Snapmap is fantastic. You're not going to find it too limiting, really. And I'd like to read another comment, if I can, by Joe Zombies 115, who makes a really good point here. He writes, there's a PS4 game coming up called Dreams with a much more robust looking map editor that I might move to. The editor in this game, meaning Doom, is far too limiting in comparison. The maps in this game all have to be pretty similar, with getting guns, shooting demons, and finding switches. In Dreams, you can literally make anything FPS, third-person melee, actual horror, twin-stick shooters, and link dozens of levels up to make an entire game. I'm sort of fatigued out by now of making relatively similar shooter maps, so if this game delivers, it's going to be a great change of pace. Don't get me wrong, Doom has been a great editor, but I've about done it all at this point. So that is a very, very good comment right there, because that sort of encapsulates a lot of people's frustration with Snapmap. It's a fantastic editor if you're really into Doom and you really want to shoot some demons. If you if you're not in the mood to shoot demons, there's nothing that Snapmap is going to deliver for you that's really going to get you excited, right? So, I mean, I see people trying to do all kinds of things with the Snapmap engine, and like, for example, Behemoth Programmer, like I said in the last episode, he made that, version of Tetris, and he does all kinds of cool things with the level editor that is, I think, contributed to this notion that Snapmap is more than a simple level editor for Doom. Now, don't get me wrong, it's got a lot of good features, but that it's more than a level editor for Doom. It's as Z Manzilla has called it, a Fisher Price dev kit, and that people should look at it as a stripped down, a game maker of sorts. And I really think that that's an overstatement. That's being very generous. I would not, it is capable of certain things, like Behemoth Programmer making Tetris, or people doing other things like, but it is basically just a glorified map editor. It can do neat things with logic, but where I think people run into the real limits of Snapmap is when they try to make levels outside of that narrow frame. Like, say, when people do try to make like a recreation of some other game that they like Five Nights at Freddy's, or they try to do some kind of a farming simulator. When people start trying to make those types of maps that sort of stray away from that core of what Doom is all about, which is just shooting demons, that's when they really start to encounter the limits of Snapmap, because it's like, oh yeah, I want to make an RPG where you're wandering around this town and you barter with people, and like this Hell Knight was going to be the NPC that runs the tavern, and it's like, well, once you start doing that kind of stuff, Snapmap is not really the right tool for the job. When people are trying to do those sorts of things with Snapmap, you really get the sense that they're trying to shove a round peg into a square hole, and it just feels kind of off. And I can understand why people like Joe Zombies 115 here have that. And of course, what he's saying here is perfectly reasonable, right? At some point, you're just not going to feel like shooting demons, and that's normal, right? You should never have just one game that you play, and that's like all you play, right? Some days you feel like shooting demons. Some days you want to play a racing game or do something different, right? So Snapmap is not a Fisher Price dev kit, even though it can be used that way in some certain situations that are very novel, like Bethesda Behemoth Programmer. But by and large, it is not designed to do that. It was never marketed as that. It was meant to make just regular Doom levels where you shoot demons. So I totally understand his frustration here with sort of feeling like everything's similar. He's getting kind of tired of the same sort of maps. Now, I do feel like within the context of just shooting demons, the levels do have a lot of diversity between them. I mean, like say my map Psychotron, that is no way similar to a map like Eye of Horus or like Devil City Ransom or like so many other maps. I think if you're looking in the right places, those maps feel a lot, they can be different enough from each other that it changes up the experience a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's all about shooting demons, right? If you're in the mood to shoot some demons and you've played through the campaign, Snapmap has a lot to offer you there, because you're going to be able to play some custom levels that they got the weapons, you got the demons, you got secrets, and it's stuff you haven't seen before, right? If you're burnt out on Doom's gameplay, then Snapmap is not going to deliver anything for you, really. Because nobody is really going to Snapmap necessarily to play Tetris. With all due respect to Behemoth Programmer, it's very cool what he did, showing off some of the stuff that Snapmap can do, but I think it's that kind of stuff that sort of, maybe for some people, created this misconception that Snapmap was in some way like a game development engine, when it really isn't, and it really was never meant to be. If you're looking to really be creative, you can try something like building games in Unreal 4, like the Unreal Engine. Like I believe that's what Taylorhead's doing right now, since he can't publish. Poor guy, he can't publish maps because he's got a PS4. Real shame. But yeah, if you feel like the limits of Snapmap are just too constraining for you, yeah, try building something on Unreal if you got the time and the patience, because that's the other thing. Yeah, Snapmap is limited, but along with it being limited, it's also a lot easier and quicker and simpler to build something and to get something out. If you're going to be building something from scratch using a development engine like Unreal, it's going to take you a lot more time to build something. So, yeah, if you want to build if you have some specific idea for, like, you want to make some kind of a farming simulator, or a racing, track, some kind of a racing game, then maybe it's worth your time to try something like that, right? Although then you also have to decide, like, say I wanted to make a racing game. Now, do I want to make a racing game from scratch and spend all that time and effort doing it? Because I really feel like I have something unique and creative to to add to the racing genre that's not already out there? Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe I can just get a game that already has a track editor built into it, like Forza, which is already a game that's finished that you can play, that has all the cars and all the racing dynamics and all the sounds and all the things that you need, and all you want to do is make a customized track. If that's the case, then yeah, just get Forza. There's no reason to build everything from the ground up and spend all that time and effort if at the end of the day what you're trying to deliver isn't going to be all that unique anyway. So that's kind of how I feel like with Snapmap. Like, it's limiting if you have grand ideas to do something that's just way out there, way unique, and you want to be able to customize every little element of it. If you just want to shoot some demons, then you should just use Snapmap. If that's the experience you're looking for, right? For that, as far as shooting demons, Snapmap is perfect. It's all you need. It's kind of like, I think of the old StarCraft map editor. I don't remember anybody at the time being like, "Oh, this StarCraft level editor. I mean, you can't cut anything. It's so limiting. All you can do is make StarCraft maps with it." Well, yeah, that's all anybody wanted to do with it. So, I mean, that's kind of the way you should look at Snapmap. Don't look at it as a game development tool. You can be creative with it, but yeah, Joe Zombies 115 is right. It is very, what you can do with it is going to be very narrow within the scope of shooting demons. So, and you know what? If you're tired of that experience, the best thing to do is to move on. That's what I do. So, like I said, you don't want to just play one game forever. No matter how good it is, you don't want to play one game too long and end up getting fatigued by it. You want to keep cycling around playing different types of games. Because that's, playing one game is not a blessing. If anything, it's like a witch's curse. Like, oh my God, I can only play one game. And aside for, a handful of MMOs, there aren't that many games that people just want to play, nonstop. A lot of us, I think, are getting a little bit of Snapmap fatigue just because we've been so excited about it and we've been playing it since launch that, some of us just got to take a break and play some other games. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you just, when you're in the mood to shoot some demons, play Snapmap, and then when you feel like doing something else, put it down and then come back and play it later. It's not like this black and white thing where you can only play Snapmap and nothing else, and then you have to just swear off Snapmap forever. No, just add it to your rotation of games that you like to play, and then when you feel like playing it, just go back and play it. Some people make... it's funny. Some people they act like they can't have it both ways. Like they make these grand proclamations about how they're leaving Snapmap and never to return. Oh my God! But yeah, so I'm on a bit of a tangent here. So yes, so the Snapmap naturally has limits to it that were sort of built into the fact that it is a Doom map level editor. So if you're looking to do things outside of shooting demons, yeah, Snapmap has major limits. Now, as far as like limits within the world of Snapmap, within the world of map making, some of the things that I've experienced, well, off the bat, the first thing everybody does is complain about the fact that there's a 12 AI limit for the demons, right? Like, oh my God, I got this Snapmap and I was hoping I could make a room with 100,000 revenants in it and make them attack each other. And I can't do that in Snapmap? To hell, I say. And, people have a big issue with the AI limit. And that is a limit, right? You can't have just an infinite number of demons. So that's something you got to take into account and work around. And for most of us, it's something you can easily figure out because you just know to not try to spawn more than 12 demons at any time. And once you can account for those types of limits, you can design around them in a way that it doesn't upset the gameplay and that it's not noticeable. Like, for example, in my map Psychotron, you're being bombarded with demons constantly. You feel like there's hundreds of demons in the battlefield sometimes, but really there's only 12 because, you don't try to spawn in more because otherwise it would gum up the logic, But as far as limits that I experience personally when I'm mapping, the biggest one probably would just be like the memory. Like, you really have to conserve your network and all that memory. And that can be challenging because for me, I usually, I try to be really conservative with my build early on, be efficient with my geo and all that stuff. Not try to put too many things in there that kind of weigh down the memory. But then, of course, I get to the end and I'm always like, 10% of my memory shorter than where I wish I would have been or had thought I would be because I don't have the kind of restraint to pass up building something cool along the way from beginning to end. So it's like, oh yeah, you gotta save some memory for the boss, but I want cannons that shoot and a bomber. Okay, and then I build those things because I can't tell myself no, and then I get to the end and it's like, oh no, I don't have enough memory to finish the end of this map. But yeah, so that's just a different thing. But yeah, you take those limits into account. Another big limitation that I've ran into is really nothing to do with the game itself, but just my personal time. Myself, along with a lot of other people, we have day jobs, we have family, we have other responsibilities to have to take care of. It's not like when I was a teenager, like an unemployed teenager with all the time in the world, who could just be up all night playing video games. I have a very, very little time to dedicate to doing anything with Snapmap to begin with. So that is definitely a huge limitation right there. But yeah, aside from that, just sort of like the general bugginess of Snapmap, the logic errors. That's the biggest thing that is really a limit for a lot of people, is just sort of the weird bugginess that Snapmap sometimes has, where things won't save or won't upload, or there's a weird error in the logic code, and that's stuff that you can't even really plan for. In a way, that's the worst kind of limit because it's sort of unavoidable and hard to navigate around. Like, you can't design around some kind of a bug that's not going to let you upload a map. And that's what happened to us PS4 users. Boy, that's a whole nother topic right there. But golly, yeah. So to sum it up, I would say, yeah, Snapmap definitely has a lot of limits, but it is fantastic if all you're going to do is just build a level where you shoot some demons. If that's your goal, Snapmap delivers, all right? And for many people, some people say that, some people complain that all the maps look and feel the same. I disagree. I think if you're playing maps that all look and feel the same, you're kind of playing the wrong maps. In that case, the biggest limit would be the author's imagination, because I've played a lot of maps that are, so unique that if you're playing good maps, you should almost play no two maps should really feel the same. But they're all going to basically boil down to you shooting demons. So you have to be in that mindset that you want to shoot demons. If you want to shoot demons, it's great. And if you don't want to shoot demons, then you're not going to have fun with Snapmap. And that's kind of what it boils down to for a lot of people. If you're... It is great for what it is. It is not great for what it isn't. And I know that's sort of a non sequitur tautology or whatever, but yeah, if you have aspirations to design maps, not design maps, but if you have aspirations to build things outside of the scope of what Snapmap offers, then you should try something like this new Dreams game that is coming out, or just take the dive and try learning to do stuff with Unreal Engine 4. And that's what I would suggest. It's not worth, it's, and, as far as I consider it, I always have Snapmap to go back to if I'm in the mood to enjoy Snapmap. And if I'm not in the mood to do it, I do something else. But yeah, so those are some of the limits of Snapmap. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. And if you have a topic to suggest for the next episode, just something that has to do with Snapmap, go ahead and leave those comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. So thank you very much. Thanks for listening. And until next time, peace out.